Thank you for joining us again at Silicon Mountain Training, your source for computer training and support. Write to us or call us with your comments and suggestions. We'd like to hear from you. Now on with the program. Welcome to the world of Windows. In this program, we will discover the basic and advanced features of Microsoft Windows, as well as uncover some of the secrets to make things run better. This special edition program is based on Windows version 3.1, but most ideas can be used on other versions, including future releases coming from Microsoft. Any discussion of Windows must first include an explanation of what Windows really is. In its simplest form, Windows is an operating shell. It is loaded after your computer loads its operating system, usually MS-DOS. Its main purpose, from the operator's point of view, is that it provides a graphical user interface, making it easier for you to get in and operate your programs. It also forces programmers to write applications that follow a standard format, so learning new programs is easier. Beneath the pretty pictures, though, Windows is much more. Windows is a memory manager, permitting applications to use more memory than DOS allows. It is a multitasking system, meaning more than one application can be running at one time. You can be spell checking a document in the background while checking on a spreadsheet at the same time. Many applications in Windows support object linking. Object linking allows a file to be linked to two programs, for instance, a spreadsheet and a word processor. If you place a spreadsheet chart in the word processor and then later change the spreadsheet, the new information is automatically updated in the word processing file, a huge work saver. And Windows provides a stepping tool to the new operating systems of the future, including IBM's OS/2 and Microsoft Windows 3.2, both using the same graphical interface as the Windows you are using now. For this training session, we will assume you already have Windows installed on your system. If not, go back to your Windows manual and follow the setup procedures for your type of system. Windows is a graphical environment designed specifically to take advantage of the memory handling and multitasking features of the Intel 386 computer processor. It can work on a 286-based computer, but requires more memory and performs poorly. It will also work on a 386SX type computer and, of course, on the 486 series as well. The actual recommended minimums are for a 286, 4 megabytes of memory, and for a 386, 2 megabytes. Windows will run in less, but the number of applications open and the overall performance will be poor. Some applications require even more memory, and in all cases, more memory will improve speed. We will be covering many areas of the Windows environment, including moving around, starting programs, fine-tuning, and more. We'll cover areas of File Manager, set up the control panel, and discuss some of the main features of Windows and how to use them. But first, we need to know how to start. If you follow the standard installation procedure, you can get into Windows by simply typing WIN at the DOS prompt and then hitting the Enter key. This loads the Windows environment and any startup programs you may have installed. In some cases, this could take up to a minute, depending upon the speed of your system. When Windows is loaded, you are left with the Program Manager on your screen. This is the main controller of Windows. It is what you use to get into any of the other programs you may want to run. Let's explore a little. Windows uses a series of boxes to group applications into logical categories. These windows can be enlarged to full screen, minimized to just a little picture called an icon, or changed to just about any size on your screen. You can have more than one window open at a time, too. Each window has a few items that you can use to control it with. In the upper left corner is a small box with a little dash in it. This is called a button and is used for sizing, closing, and basically controlling the window. On the upper right corner are two more buttons. These are for maximizing and minimizing the size of the window. Also, at the top of every window is a series of command menus. These menus contain other options relating to the main heading. The Program Manager has menu options of File, Options, Window, and Help. If you have a mouse, you can access any of these buttons or commands simply by pointing at them with your mouse pointer and clicking the left mouse button. Without a mouse, you access these options through your keyboard. To get into a menu, you type the letter that is underlined along with the alternate key on your keyboard. For instance, to get into the File menu on Program Manager, you simply hold down the Alt key and hit F, the underlined letter in File. When you get into the menu, you can select a function by typing in the underlined letter by itself without the Alt key. With a mouse, of course, you simply point and click. You can accomplish just about anything in Windows by using only the keyboard, but it is difficult to remember all the alternate and control key combinations. For most applications, the mouse is much easier to deal with, so we won't get into all the keyboard options here. We will mention those keyboard options that make things easier. Back to the Program Manager. When using Windows, you can have either several windows on your screen, small icons on the bottom of your screen, or a combination of both. Each window in the Program Manager is a collection or group of programs. Each icon in a window is a program. The program can be moved to other windows, or it can be removed altogether. Keep in mind, though, that removing the icon from the window does not remove the program from your computer's hard drive. It simply takes away the icon. Similarly, just because there is an icon in your window does not necessarily mean that program is on your system. Someone could have deleted or moved the program and not updated the window. To access a program from a window, you simply point at the icon with your mouse and double-click on the icon. Double-click means hit the left button on your mouse twice quickly without moving the mouse in between clicks. If you move the mouse while you're clicking, the system thinks you're trying to move the icon, not run the program. With a little practice, using the mouse is easy and fun. To maximize a window or make it full screen, you can either click on the little up arrow button in the upper right of the window, or click on the dash button in the upper left corner and then click on Maximize. To reduce the window to an icon, either click on the little down arrow button in the upper right, or click the dash and then click Minimize. Minimizing a window gets the window out of your way, but any applications running in it still remain running. You can move a window by grabbing the colored title bar and holding the left button down while moving the mouse. This is called dragging and is a technique used in many areas in the window environment. You can also change the size of a window using the drag technique. If you point at the edge of a window, the cursor changes from an arrow to two little arrows and lines. This indicates that you can move the edge of the window to where you want it. Simply hold down the left button and drag the edge of the box in either direction. You can do this with the top or bottom, too. You can close a window by double-clicking on the dash button in the upper left corner. This minimizes the window and stops execution of any programs running in it. From the keyboard, you can do the same thing by holding down the alternate key and hitting F4. This is the universal exit in Windows. It closes the application or window you are currently working on. If you don't have any applications running, this will exit Windows and take you back to DOS. Let's check out the menu options for the Program Manager. These options will be similar for almost any program designed to run in a Windows environment. The look and feel of all Windows programs make it almost intuitive to run any new program. You can concentrate on the features of the program and not on the syntax of how to make it run. Under the File menu option of the Program Manager, you have selections relating to programs or windows in your system. You can add a new program to your environment or open an existing one. You can move a window or change its size, delete a program icon from your system, or change its properties, which include file names, icons, directories, where the program is located, etc. You can also run a program that is not currently on your Windows system. This is especially convenient when running programs from floppy disks, like setup and installation programs. Under the Options menu selection, you have settings that relate to your main Windows environment. You can select Auto Arrange, that neatly arranges your icons for you. Minimize on Use allows programs to run exclusively in the background. And finally, Save Settings on Exit will automatically save any changes you have made to your environment when you exit Windows. Under the Window menu option, you have selections that allow you to arrange or select windows. Cascade arranges all open windows in a cascading card-style pattern. You can see the title bars of all windows, but only the front one shows the icons. Tile arranges all open windows on the screen so you can see them all, somewhat clustered if you have a bunch of windows open, but it also saves you from having to remember which window your programs are in. Next is the Arrange Icons selection. This will arrange icons in the current window in a neat, pre-spaced pattern. Below the Arrange Icons is a listing of all windows available in your system. By bringing down this menu and selecting your window here, you save having to hunt for the proper icon to run a program or open a window. This is especially useful if you do not have a mouse. Finally, the Help menu selection gives you choices to help you run Windows and tells you about the Program Manager. There is also a tutorial on how to run Windows here. The help utilities in Windows are linked. This means if you look up help on a certain subject, there will be other subjects you can simply click your mouse on to get further advice. There are also full indexes and a table of contents. Now that we know how to get around in the window environment, we need a little practice. Microsoft has been generous enough to supply a program that will help us to perfect our mouse techniques and window handling techniques. Solitaire. From the main Program Manager screen, open the Games window. Again, the easiest way to do this is simply double-click on the icon. With the Games window open, you should see a couple of different games depending upon what you have installed in your system. The game is pretty self-explanatory, so have fun with it. If you want to do something else but you still want to keep the game going, you can minimize the Solitaire window by clicking the little down arrow button in the upper right corner of the window. Then you can switch to it by using Windows Task Switch. There are a couple of ways you can do this. Using the mouse, click on the Dash Control button in the upper left corner. Select the Switch To option to bring up a window listing all running tasks. Simply select the one marked Solitaire. You can also switch tasks from the keyboard. Windows provides a quick switch technique here. Hold down the alternate key on your keyboard and hit the Tab key. Each time you hit the tab, a small window pops up with the name of a current task. Just keep hitting the tab until you get to the task you want. There are other ways of switching, but these are the quickest and easiest. When you're done practicing, exit the program by either double-clicking the dash icon or dragging down the game menu and clicking Exit. Let's look at an application with a little more practical use, the File Manager. From the Program Manager window, bring up the main window and double-click on File Manager. File Manager is kind of the card catalog for your system. It tells you what files and directories are on all your drives, including any network or CD-ROM drives. You can use File Manager to copy or move files, formatting diskettes, and running programs. You can select the drive you want to look at by simply clicking the appropriate icon. You can copy files from one disk to another or from one directory to another using the drag and drop routine. Simply point at the file you want to copy, hold down the left mouse button, and drag the file to the directory or drive you want to copy it to. Let go of the mouse button to drop the file. If you want to move a file instead of copy it, that is, if you don't want the file in the source directory anymore, hold down the Shift key on your keyboard while you click and drag. When you select a drive choice, File Manager replaces the open window with that of the new drive. If instead you want to open a second window with your choice, double-click the Drive Selection button. This way you have two windows open, and you can copy files from one subdirectory on one drive to another subdirectory on the second drive. Running programs from the File Manager is simple. When you find the program you want to run, just double-click on it, and File Manager starts it. If you double-click on a file, like a word processing document, File Manager will start the application for that file and then load the file. To delete a program or file from your drive, simply select the file you want removed and either hit your Delete key on your keyboard or select the File menu and then Delete. File Manager also includes options for formatting diskettes, making subdirectories, changing how the information is displayed or sorted, and several others. Our brief tour here, though, doesn't allow us time to explore them all. Browse through the File Manager, and you will find yourself going back to the old DOS-C prompt less and less. File Manager is one of the utility programs supplied with Windows that can be very handy to have running all the time. The File Manager, like any other Windows program, can be minimized to an icon, ready for use at any time, but hiding in the background, allowing other programs to run in the foreground. Windows is designed just for this purpose. So every time you start Windows, you can start File Manager, then minimize it. That way it's always there, ready to work for you, but there is an even easier way. One of the windows provided by Microsoft in the Program Manager is called Startup. Any program in the Startup window group will automatically be loaded when you start Windows. This is convenient for File Manager, but also works with other applications like word processors, spreadsheets, or any other Windows application. Don't get too carried away, though. Each running application takes more of your system's resources and will slow things down a bit. We've talked about the Windows environment and about running programs. Let's switch our thinking now to customizing and configuring Windows. The Windows Setup program, which is what you use to install Windows in the first place, pre-configures Windows to match your system. It can also be used if you change your system by changing video cards or monitors, a mouse, or installing a network. The Setup program is in the main Window Program group. Changing options here will reconfigure your system and may require your original Windows diskettes to load new files. Setup also provides a utility that scans your hard drive for applications that have been installed outside of Windows and creating icons to be placed in the Non-Windows Applications group. Another application in the main program group is Print Manager. Print Manager, as the name implies, controls printing. Windows with Print Manager allows background printing, that is, processing the print job in the background while allowing you to continue your work in the foreground. This makes the actual printing time longer, but allows you to be more productive because your machine is not locked up waiting for the printer. This is especially true if you are using true type fonts, which can take quite a long time to print. Print Manager is loaded automatically when you print something, but you can also load it manually or put it in your Startup program group. Let's go back to the main program group and look at some ways of configuring your Windows environment. The Control Panel is where we can accomplish this. Control Panel is used to set up certain features of Windows to match your system and preferences. Select Color to customize the screen colors for your windows and menus. There are several pre-made color schemes, or you can create your own. Fonts allows you to select and install printing and screen fonts. With the addition of TrueType fonts, you can have literally hundreds of font choices. And TrueType fonts are scalable, meaning you can change the size from tiny to headline huge without having a different font installed for every size. One problem with TrueType, though, is that they are slower to print and to display. Back to the control panel. Ports is the next choice. This selection allows the customization of communication ports or COM ports on your computer. In most cases, these are preset when you install Windows and should require no changes. Mouse customization allows you to change the tracking speed, double-click speed, and enable mouse trails, which are useful on many laptops with LCD screens. The desktop option from the control panel is where you can set up your preferences for how you want your desktop to look. You can change your background pattern here. Windows also provides a screensaver, which will blank your screen after a period of non-use. This prevents the screen from burning in and also provides a level of security if you enable a password. You can also change your wallpaper here. Wallpaper is the background behind windows if all the window groups are minimized to icons. Granularity controls how big of a step to take in moving or sizing windows. For the smoothest control, leave it at 0. The border width control changes the size of the borders around windows, making it easier to grab and resize them. Icon spacing changes the amount of space put between the icons in a window when you use the Arrange Icons feature. And finally, the cursor blink rate controls how fast the cursor blinks. From the control panel window, the keyboard selection allows you to select key repeat rates. The printer's icon is used to install new printers or change the configuration of printers already installed. Let's look at this selection in more detail. The printer's windows shows your current configuration, listing printers currently installed and specifying which printer is selected as the default. If you have several different types of printers, it is convenient to install the drivers for each and then just select the one you want to print with from the individual application. If the application does not allow you to select printers, it will automatically use the default printer. To install a new printer, click the Add button, then select the printer you want to install. If the printer is not listed but came with its own disk with drivers, you can select Unlisted or Updated Printer, and the install program will ask you to insert the driver diskette. Installing the proper printer driver is important because of the controls used to print different fonts, graphical characters, and special functions such as bold, underline, etc. After you install the driver for the printer, you have to tell Windows which port it is connected to, and if it is your main printer, set it as the default printer. You can also choose if you want to use the Print Manager here. Using Print Manager will print your documents in the background, allowing quicker return to your application, but slower printing. Back to the control panel. The International selection gives you choices on country, language, and date and numbering systems. The Date Time icon allows you to change your system date and time. MIDI Mapper is used to control the MIDI interface to sound equipment. Next is 386 Enhanced, which controls how the system works with a 386 or better processor. This icon will not exist if you are not running in 386 Enhanced mode. You cannot run in 386 Enhanced mode if you do not have a 386 or better processor, or if you have less than 1 megabyte available memory. Usually, a machine with at least 2 megabytes of memory will run in the enhanced mode. Let's look at the 386 Enhanced options. These options control the multitasking features of Windows. In order for Windows to have more than one program running at a time, it has to split its time among all applications and all devices. Devices are usually communication ports that several applications can be requesting at once. The device contention selections specify how Windows will act if there are two applications trying to use the same device. The scheduling options allow you to customize the performance of the foreground versus background applications. All of these options are set up by Windows and should not need to be changed. There is an area, though, that can make a large difference in the performance of your machine. That area is virtual memory. Virtual memory is a section of your hard drive that is used by Windows as memory. This allows Windows to access a much larger amount of memory than is really on your system. It improves the performance of applications because they remain loaded and open. There are two types of virtual memory, temporary and permanent. The preferred system is the permanent type, where Windows creates a space on your fastest hard drive that will be permanently used for the virtual files. This is sometimes called a swap file. To create a permanent file, Windows requires a large contiguous free space on your hard drive. When you try to change your options, Windows will tell you your current settings and make recommendations on how your system should be set up. You should use a temporary file only if you are short on disk space or if you use Windows little compared to other non-Windows applications. Also, if you are given the option, you should try to use the 32-bit disk access. This bypasses some of the control in the computer, allowing Windows to access the hard drive controller directly, improving the performance of the system. On some machines, this improvement can be very noticeable. Of all the 386 enhanced mode options, the virtual memory can make the dramatic improvement. If you are running a 386 computer but not getting enhanced mode, it is strongly recommended that you upgrade the memory of your system. Back to the control panel. The only remaining options are drivers and sound. Both of these selections set your system to run with sound cards and control what kinds of sound your system will use. Windows can make noises for you when you open or close Windows or get system messages, etc. We won't go into detail on these, but if you have a sound card in your system, you should check these features out. Let's look at one other area of configuration. Windows uses several initialization files to control the setup. It also heavily relies on a few lines in your computer's config and autoexec files. We'll take a look at one way to view and edit these files. Because changes made to these files can alter the way Windows runs, or even make it not run, this program is not placed in icon in the Windows environment. Instead, we'll run it using the File Run command. From the Program Manager, click the File menu button, then click Run. We could just type in the file name and extension here, but instead we will use the Browse feature. Browse brings up a selection box that we can simply click on the program we want. Our System Editor program is under the System directory, so we double-click on that. Then double-click on SysEdit to select it. Then OK to run. We won't change anything in these files. We just want to show you what's there. The first file we'll look at is the AutoExec BAT file. This is a batch file that is run automatically when you start your computer. This file can be just a couple of lines, or it can be very large. There are two lines in the AutoExec file that relate to Windows. One is the path command. This tells where the computer should look to find files and programs. The path command should contain the directory where the Windows programs are located. This is set up when you first install Windows. The other command here is the Smart Drive program. Smart Drive is a disk caching program designed to work with Windows. A cache is a program that sets an area of high-speed memory to act as a buffer to the slower hard drive. Depending upon the amount of memory your system has available, the Smart Drive program will make a very large performance increase in your computer. Smart Drive works for all disk access in your system, not just with Windows. Let's close the AutoExec file and look at the next window, the Configure System file. This file is loaded when your computer first starts up, even before the AutoExec BAT file. It contains drivers or instructions on how specific devices will work. It also contains instructions on how the operating system will handle its memory. Let's briefly look at what's here. HighMem is a driver that tells DOS that this computer has memory above the 640K base. EMM386 is an expanded memory manager. telling DOS how to configure the memory it has. These also are configured by the Windows setup, and we won't alter them here, but be aware that if you do need to alter them, this is where you can. Closing the ConfigSys window brings up the WinINI and SystemINI files. These files are used by Windows to set up the window environment, applications, groups, and basically how Windows works. You may never need to change anything in these areas because Windows applications usually make these changes automatically. But if you ever do, this is where they are. The file run technique we used for the system editor is handy for running any application that is not set up on your Windows Program Manager. This includes non-Windows programs too. Windows allows you to run standard DOS programs in either full screen mode or in a window on your Windows desktop. By default, the DOS application will run in full screen mode. This makes it look as if you're actually exiting the Windows environment and running the application straight from DOS. You can still switch between tasks and run the application in the background, but the full screen is taken up by the non-Windows application. There is a utility in Windows that allows you to customize the environment for specific DOS applications. This is called the PIF editor for Program Information File. This allows you to change the screen mode, memory requirements, and other options for non-window applications. If you are running such an application and need to customize their parameters, use the PIF editor from the main program group. Windows is a big step toward making the computer easier and more productive. One way in which this is happening is through a concept called multimedia. Multimedia means interacting with the user with more than one of their senses. All computers interface with their user's eyes by way of the screen. Multimedia uses sound, music, more vivid graphic displays, and other ways to make the information more valuable, more understandable, and more interesting. Windows has been designed to take advantage of these new technologies and has built-in controls for CD-ROM, music, MIDI interfaces, and more. Look for some exciting application packages in the future. And what about the future? Where will the computer environment go tomorrow? IBM's OS/2 and Microsoft's Windows 3.2 are both new operating systems that use the graphical user interface. The difference between these systems and Windows goes down to the base level. Windows is a DOS-based shell. It is loaded after MS-DOS starts the computer. The new systems are actual bootable operating systems, taking full advantage of the 32-bit computer processors. These include any of the 386 series computers, including the SX models, and all later models. From the user's point of view, the biggest difference is an all-out performance, but without having to learn a whole new system. Both of these new operating systems use the same type of screens, programs, and utilities you will be using with Windows today. We've covered a lot of information in this program. We discussed what Windows really is and how to move around in it. We talked about running applications and configuring Windows for your applications. And finally, we talked about optimizing Windows to work best for you. Now, it's your turn. Once you get used to the graphical computer environment, you'll be hooked. Good luck, and happy windowing. Thank you for watching today. Look for more cutting-edge programs from Silicon Mountain Training.